All right, guys, we're back here. So we're going to wait another minute or so for some more people possibly to show up if they're not here yet. But while we're waiting, any questions or anything from this morning? All right, well, let's go ahead and get going here. All right, so what we've done previously is we drew a few parts. We went ahead and made a stock, went to the stock wizard, everything. Now we are up to the job setting. So with the job setting in here, you have this new tab showing up. It's the milling tab. So just starting over here from the right to going to the left here, you have your additional functions. This is where you can update geometry and compute all toolpath. The best way to explain those two, if for whatever reason you got your machine set up here and you put it in the middle of the part instead, and you got like all your toolpaths set up right here, all you would have to do is come up here and say update all geometry and compute all toolpath, and whatever you got in here, it'll update everything for you. That's just kind of the easiest way to show you that one. Also in here, you got other options in here for add another setup, add an index if you have 4-axis, add a toolpath pattern. That's where you can, got this one set up, and if you know the distance in X or Y, you can set multiples up there if you want to or need to. You can add groups into your toolpath if you need to, and you can also wrapping. And again, that's more for 4-axis. Moving over to the NC editor, we have our post. And then if you hit the drop down here, you have post and save as. Now, you'll hear me say in trainings, it doesn't matter if it's online, seminars, on-sites, and houses. Here, I always say hit the little control box. That means push that button right there. That's a little control box icon. That's going to generate your G-code that's going to show up right here or wherever you got it on your screen. I never do a post and save as because I usually like to show the post. I like to see the post. Hopefully you guys know a little bit about G-code, and you'll want to see, things showing up as needed in that G-code. If there's not, there's something wrong within either the toolpath or the post itself that we need to get fixed. The machining order. This is where you'll have all your machining orders. If for example, we'll have like a pocketing with a profile finish and a profile rough with a profile finish in there. And if you're using the same tool, everything should come out individual tool per machine setup. Or if you're using different tools like the pocketing and the profile rough are the same one, and then the 2 profile finishes are the same tool, they'll probably go by tool operation on there, which in case you may need that may be okay. Or if you need to have the pocket with the finish and then the profile with the profile finish, in that order, then you'll come in here and adjust it from there on that. And we'll take a look at that later too. Generate sheet setup and generate sheet setup and save. Again, I don't do the save. I can save it out later. But if you click on generate sheet setup, you have these options down here. The last 2 are for wire. These are different options in here to see your sheet, or see your program, with the, in this case, I got the full sheet set up in here. This is your name of the file, the post you're using, the machine, date and time it was created. And again, this is just a makeup one here. Has your cycle time, has all your program data right here. Took a snapshot of your picture right out in the middle of the CAD screen. Stock information, and then all your tools here. And you also have all your different cycle times and everything right here. Now, again, this is really nice to utilize. We do have a YouTube of this, how to modify this if you need to. For example, if you go in and type in BobCAD generate sheet setup, you'll come up with a video, and they'll show you how to modify these these sheet setups that you create. Like you can put in your logo if you want on there instead of having the BobCAD. But reasons people would use this is for one, accounting reasons. So that's how they build a customer of their time and the stock that they used and all that information. Other way to use this is if you program something and somebody else is going to run the part. You may want to print this out and give that to them along with the G code. And that way, they have, some sort of information and knowledge of what's going on with this part in there. So there's a couple of different ways you can utilize that. Then we got the toolpath statistics. Again, this is just a quick view of this one here where you'll see the total time. And again, if you have your spindle cutting and plunge feet rates set up properly, you're going to get a pretty good accurate time. If that's what you cut on your machine, you're going to get a pretty good time on here. And then depending on the toolpaths you'll have, you can go to individual ones and see the total time and, all the other information in there. Moving over to simulation here, this is where you're going to go into simulation, and then when you exit out of simulation, that's the button you're going to click on there. I know there's older ways of doing it by clicking X's on the upper right and stuff, but we don't utilize that anymore just because of the new user interface. Things have changed in the simulation also. So I just usually go to start simulation and then exit out of it, hit stop simulation. Then we got their machining features. So load and save features. So save features is saving toolpath out. So if it's something that you're going to use all the time, same toolpath, or not same toolpath, but same tool, same parameters within that feature, save it out, and you can always recall it back up by using the load feature. And then that will go into the features folder, and you just throwing knives. Okay, I don't know what that one is, but we'll go with that. I don't know what that is, but anyways, you can load that feature up, and the only thing you would have to do if everything is correct inside as far as parameter wise is you would just need to reselect your geometry, make sure your depths are correct, make sure your direction is correct, and then compute toolpath. That's it. Copy and paste does the same thing, but it's just, I can copy toolpath or machining strategy from here and bring it on this one and paste it in there, or down the machine strategy again, I can go ahead and do that also. Here we got our different toolpath information here. So up here is all our hole making stuff here. So we got drills, taps, counterbore, and tap, and then our wireframe machining right here. And that's all we're going to be looking at today is the wireframing. So we got mill face, 2-axis, thread mill, 3-axis wireframe, and V-carve if you have BobCAD. If you don't have BobCAD, you'll see the icon here, but it'll be grayed out. It won't be active like it is there. Moving over, we got our job settings. So this is all job settings here. This doesn't have to do anything with the default settings. So if for whatever reason you need to change the machine to I don't know, Haas 3X, you can change the machine, and the posts you can see changed also. If you need to change the material, you can go ahead and do that. So if I wanted to go ahead and use aluminum and let's see, 6160, where the heck are you? I don't know, I'm just kind of guessing at this stuff. Oh, 6106, okay. I guess I don't have it. Anyways, I can just pick an aluminum and say okay. If I hit the drop down here, you can see now it's wrought iron instead of, or aluminum instead of the carbon steel. Workpiece, again, we're not going to worry about that. That's if we have a solid model, which we don't, so we're not going to worry about that. Then we got our tools. So if you hit the drop down here, you can go to the tool page. When this opens up, you'll see all our milling, generic, and drilling options in there. You won't see laser, plasma, and water jet unless you specifically chose one of those machines in there. But again, you won't see lathe either in there. So this is at job level now on that. With the come back tool cribs holder, if you need to change the tool holder or you want to change the tool holder or modify or add your own, you could definitely do that. Verify tool assignment. This will allows you to see all the different tools that you're using. Basically, the only thing you could do in there is uncheck the use automatic tool numbering right here, And you can double click into tool numbers and change the tool numbers from there. And then we got the machining cloud. Again, we went over that just briefly. There's a video on our webpage there for what's new in 33, and that goes over the machining cloud. Tool cribs. Tool cribs are good to have. If you got, when you go and set up a machining feature, whatever it may be, some sort of two-axis tool path that we're going to be looking at today, if you don't have specific tools that you're using, it's going to look in the library. Now, I can come in here before I put one tool path on here and add all my tools that I'm going to use for that specific job or machine, whichever one you decide to use it for or what you use it for. In that case, when we get to the tool page, it'll look in the tool crib first, and then if they can't find a proper tool, it'll go into the tool library and try to find it from there. But most likely, it's going to try to find it in the tool crib first. It may not pick the right tool up. All you have to do is click on the tool crib up in the top left of the tool page there, and just click in the tool crib and get the right tool in there. So by default, I think it's like a ½ inch it looks at if you don't pick something else out from the ML Rough when doing a pocket or profiling operation. And that's from the system library on there. Tool cribs are also good if you got multiple machines that you run in your shop on there. So you got specific tools for the Haas machine, specific tool for the mock controller or mock machine or Cincinnati or whatever they may be, Fanuc on there. So you may use that and you can import them in. But be careful before you put one tool path on there. If you know you got a tool crib that you want to import in, do it first. Don't put one tool path on there. You'll screw yourself basically on that with that. So, yep, you can do that. Next over here is our stock. If I click on the icon there, it'll take us back to the stock definition page. Or if I hit the drop down, I can change the color, transparency, or the blanking out of the stock. So if I wanted to change the color to like an orange for whatever reason, some of you guys are probably going, he was going to go to yellow on there. You can see there's my orange right there, kind of light tint. If I wanted to, I can change the transparency of it. The lower I go, the darker it will be. But be careful with that because depending on if you're trying to pick 2D geometry off of that, you may or may not be able to see some of that geometry in there. And of course, the higher you go, more transparent it looks on there. It's there, but it's not there. But if you keep it like that, that's totally fine because then that just eliminates you from doing this every time. Is blank and unblank on there. So I usually just blank out my stock, and if I left click down here on my cam tree, it will show up for me. And if I click something else off of it, it'll go away. So there, that's that. Next over, we have our current settings. Now again, this is set up for the job level here. So you can see here, this one's set up for 20,000 RPM for the spindle because we're looking at the Haas. Posting, there goes all your setup here. Output automatic comments there. Multi-axis posting, don't ever touch that. And then comments. These are where your comments you can, if you set up in the post processor for you, you can put in instructions or information of what's supposed to be done or what needs to get done. And that's going to be raw text that comes out on your G code. So, you know, when the machinist loads a program, or it may be you doing double duty there, programming and machining it, you may want to put a reminder in there for yourself if you need to. This is where it's going to be held at on there. And then when you post out your G code, it's going to show up on the G code and stuff on there. And with that, that's pretty much it with the job level here. Anything that we just went over across this ribbon, you can always right click and you can find that information right there. Cutting conditions, simulation, toolpath statistics, post on there. You can change the machine here if you wanted to change machine and post on there, or you can just change the post independently on there. Stock also, there goes your stock. You can change color, transparency, blank on blank if you need to on there. With that, so yeah, you can right click on any there. Now you'll notice if you run in 32 or 33, you'll notice numbers or these little flyouts here. That's what this little flyout is here. Now I used to not like them, but I've kind of gotten used to them here. If you hover over it, you'll get this little dialog box that comes out. And a lot of times you can come in here and change some information, like program numbers. We saw program numbers in the CAM default up here under current settings. Now it's under here, current settings. If we come over here to posting, there goes our number right there. That was kind of the old way of doing stuff. Now with this flyout that we've introduced, I think the 32 and moving forward, if I need to change my program number, I can do it right on the fly. I can go, 987, whatever I want it to be, and hit apply. Now when I generate my G code, my program number is going to be 987 there, or whatever number you want, 101, 102 on there. So that's what good these flyouts do for you. You can also set up your work offset. If you want work offset 2 now, you can definitely set that up. And if work offset 2 has a specific X, Y, and Z set up, go ahead and do that. On there, you just hit apply to whenever it's completed, and you just move your mouse out to your CAD screen, left click, and it goes away. All right, so let's go ahead and throw some toolpath on here. So what we're going to be doing is a facing operation. We'll do a pocket operation, drilling, and then a profile. Nothing too bad in here. So if you got 32 and higher, 32 and 33, you'll notice in here when you right click, which is what I usually do, I'm going to come down here to mill facing. Now, if I have specific stock geometry or stock 2D geometry I want to utilize, I can go ahead and select geometry. If not, it's going to go by my stock geometry that I have created. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. So here it is. I got my rapid, clearance, and feed plane here. If I need to adjust that. Now what I'm going to do here is that my top of job is actually the top of this corner right here. I didn't make any stock going up higher. So I'm going to come over here and go 0.1, and then my total depth is going to be 0.1. So it's basically, or I can do 0 and 0. And basically all it's going to do is just skim the top off a little bit for me. It's not going to, when I see it in simulation, it's not going to show cutting off any material. But on your machine it will, because I'm just kind of guessing at this because I don't know how much exactly I'm taking off. Unless I go like 0.25, then you'll see it going down further into the part, on there. But I'm not going to worry about that. Keep internal loops and bounding box. This is if I can utilize any of these if I had selected 2D geometry in order to get my shape right here. But I'm not worried about it. We're just going to go based off our stock. From there, I'm going to go ahead and hit next, get into machine strategy. So I can, it's looking at facing in my current operation. If I want to put in another one, I can definitely bring it over from the available operations. I can move them up and down in here, or I can get rid of one. In case you want to go in one direction and then do another one going in another direction, you can definitely do that. From there, we go ahead and hit next. We get into the posting page. There goes our work offset. If you have a rotary or a rotary, then you can utilize this if you need to. But we're not going to worry about that one today. There goes our offsets right there. And then from there, we'll go ahead and hit next. And then we get into the tool page. So you notice I told you the system tool that always picks up usually the first time is the 1/2 inch. There it is right there. And there's all the information with the feeds and speeds. I can uncheck that box and change the feeds and speeds. I can hit tool number right here, change the tool number if I need to on there. I can override my offsets right here if I need to on this, or I can go in here and let's see, go in here and let's see, I got rough and finish. Let's look at rough. I think I got a couple of facing tools, so I'll just pick up this 1 1/4 right there. That should be fine. Or I can use an inserted There's what the picture looks like, and whatever's in royal blue, that's what's selected. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK. There it is right there, and there goes all my information. Again, if I need to, I can come in here and change this to whatever number I want. And again, these are just numbers that I'm just throwing in there. Coolant. If you're utilizing any one of the coolants, you can specifically set the one you want, or you can turn it off if you need to. From there, go ahead and hit next, and we get into our pattern. So I want to do a zigzag. Do I want to just do a zig? It's going to go in one direction. I can set a distance. I can set my step over. What direction I want to go into. Do I want to do an adaptive? It'll just do a continuous adaptive cutting in there for me. Let's do a zigzag. We'll do an X direction. And let's go, yeah, let's do X. That's a long ways. We'll start in the upper left-hand corner, which will be right here. Our step over amount, whatever you want. I'm going to put in 30 for right now, but you can, I've heard numbers like 40 and 60 are always good ones to put in there. That's percentage of your tool diameter. I'm going to do 30 on this, and then from there, I'm going to go ahead and hit next. I'm not going to leave in a bottom allowance. I'm going to do this in one step, but you also have the option to do multiple depths in here. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into our leads. If you want to do a vertical lead in or a parallel lead in, whatever you do for the lead in, the lead out is going to follow the same unless you uncheck it and you can do something different in there. From there, we go ahead and hit next. We get into our links. So you could do a direct. If you look at the picture off to the right, it'll kind of demonstrate what it's doing. We'll do an arc on here. That should be good. And then from there, we'll go ahead and hit next. And then we get into our advanced feed rates. You're going to see advanced feed rates on every single one of our tool paths. General override is going to be the most common one there. It's going to be convert rapids into feeds. And then depending on the tool path like this one, profiles the same way. Yeah, I think that's about it for right now. You'll see lead in and lead out percentage. So that just means if I'm using a lead in and lead out and I want to use different feeds or speeds on there, instead of doing 100% of the feed rate, I can maybe on the lead in do 20% and then on the lead out do like 200% of the feed rate. So you got those options. Once you go through all that, you notice you don't have any more next. From there, you can hit finish. Finish will hold all your parameters and you can compute it at a later time. Or in this case, let's just go ahead and hit compute. And there it is from there. Now this is going to be real quick. So I'm going to right click on facing and the third one down, I'm going to hit backplot. There goes our tool right there. Now I'm just going to hit the down arrow here because you can see it just goes by quick. And this is just a quick backplot of seeing, you know, your part being cut out on here, and it does one tool at a time or one operation at a time. So again, once it's done, you'll have to go ahead and hit close and then do another one on there. Any questions with that or anything so far? All right, so yeah, what I like to do once I'm done with the toolpath is to right click on the feature, whatever it may be, come down here to blank on blank and just blank out that toolpath, and then I like to shrink it up on there. What that just tells me right there is that that one is pretty much done. If I need to go back in and change it, I can still, but at least it just lets me know it's done on there. So let's go ahead and do a pocketing operation in the middle here. So I'm going to right click on machine setup 1 and I'm going to go to mill 2 axis. Now remember that stock thickness that we made in there. The stock with the thickness was 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to come over here, select geometry. I'm going to left click on that circle there. There goes my selected geometry. I'm going to come down here where my profile chain. That should be good. Let's actually have it start over here. That should be fine. And I can change the direction if I want to. I'm going to have it go in this direction right now. Think of your right shoulder walking around this part here. If, when I do the profile finish on there, it's going to stay on the inside of that, so that should be good. Our top of feature is 0, and because we're working with 2D geometry and a 2-axis toolpath, the total depth's always going to be a 1/2 inch in there. So if it's not using a 1/2 inch, maybe it's using, a 1/4, you can put that in there. So I can go 0.25 right there. We won't go all the way through on this one here. From there, don't have anything else to put in there, so I can go ahead and hit OK. This brings us back into the geometry selection window. So from there, we'll go ahead and hit Next, and we get into our feature page. So again, the same setup as before in the facing there. And this time we have an option here for extensions. So if I click on that, what this does, we're working with closed geometry right here. If you look up here, this line, this vertical line, horizontal line, and this vertical line were only selected. This is an open geometry. There's nothing closed in here because they didn't pick all this in here. So basically what this is that tool, whatever tool you're going to be using, is going to start halfway off the part here, come around, and end halfway off the part. Now that's just a nominal number that we have in there. You can put 60, 100, 150% of your tool diameter. It doesn't matter what the tool is, what size it is, it's going to base it off that tool diameter that you're using. Or you can click on the percent sign and it makes it into a distance in there on that. So we won't utilize that today, so we'll go ahead and hit Next. Brings us into machine strategy. So you can see here, because of in my CAM section here under the DMS defaults right there, profile finish and then profile rough, it actually should be profile rough and finish. I'm not going to worry about that one right now because we were going to come up here to the machine strategy, and you got profile, pocketing, facing, 2D engrave, chamfer milling, plunge rough, and drag knife. We're going to use pocketing on here. You'll notice that my current operations has changed. If there's something else I want to bring over in here, you know, like in a facing operation, I can bring that in and I can move it around if I have it selected on there. So I can come in here and move this around if I wanted to in there. Or I can just get rid of it by clicking the red X down on the bottom left. In this example, we'll just go ahead and do a pocket with a profile finish. So we'll go ahead and hit Next. It brings us into the tabs. So tabs you're going to see on every one of our tool paths here, if you utilize them or not. You're going to see them here. What tabs are basically, let's say for router guys, this is a good one. So you got a bunch of parts that you're cutting out on a 4x8 sheet or whatever that sheet of material that you're using. On there, so what you'll do is you'll make these tabs, which are these little red things right here. So what the toolpath is going to do, it's going to come down. We're going to say it started right here, come all the way around, stop, move up, move over, and back down, and continue cutting, and then back out again. So tabs is hold it to that material on your of your part when it's being cut out. So basically it's just moving up and over the part on there. Laser plasma water jet guys will use these also on there. If you got a vacuum table, a lot of guys will use them on there and you know, keep it, you know, for the part from moving around on the table, because once you get a certain size on there, the vacuum doesn't really hold it down anymore on there. But we won't use the tabs at all today, so but you do have them there. From there, we'll go ahead and hit Next, and we get into our posting. So again, rotary, what offset you're using, and this one has an option here for line or arc moves. So line moves, you know, X, Y, and Z, or arc moves, I and J, K values in there if you want to use them, depending on how your machine and post are set up also. From there, we'll go ahead and hit Next, and you'll notice it's picking up our 1.25" face mill right there. Of course, it's not the tool we want to use. Let's go ahead and go to Tool Crib. We'll click on ML Rough and then click Add from Library. And let's go ahead and choose this 3/8. That's usually my go-to tool. You can choose whatever one you want. On there should be good. I'm going to click OK. All my numbers are good. I'm going to go ahead and hit Next. Patterns. What kind of pattern do I want to do? Do I want to do a standard pocket? And with that, I have an option for parallel, so I can choose, you know, what direction I want to go. Just back and forth, and I can set the lacing angle right there. I got pocket out, so it's going to start from the center, work our way out. And I got offset in, or offset pocket in, so it's going to start from the outside, work our way in on this. Or we can do advanced pocket where you have these three options plus you have more spiral. Doesn't matter what the geometry is. It's going to do a continuous more spiral in the part and cut it out. Or you can do adaptive roughing or tricordial cutting if you want to do that also in there. Let's see. Let's do a pocket out on this one. We're going to go one way. And let's see. Let's do a step over a 30% on there. Yeah, let's do 40 today. And then we got this rust roughing. What that rust roughing is if you're going to come in with another pocketing operation with a smaller tool, on that second operation, you'll come down here and click on rust roughing. The previous tool, radius, and any allowances will show up right here. And so what that's given the information to do is that with that smaller tool, is that bigger one said, hey, I went and cleaned out this whole rectangle here. All that smaller tool needs to do is just go back into the corners here and clean those out a little bit more for us. And that's it. That's all it'll do on there. It won't go and repeat everything over again. So this is, excuse me. This is a good, if you're doing a lot of art projects or something, you got text on there, and you need to get in between the text. You can utilize that for that. For this, we're not going to worry about it, so we'll go ahead and uncheck that. And then from there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into our parameters. So any roughing toolpath that we get into, by default, the side allowance is always going to be have a number in there, and it's always going to be 15 thousandths. You can always adjust that number, whatever you want it to be. I'll put in 10 there, just little number changes. And then do I want to do this in a single step or do I want to do this in multiple steps? Now, again, it depends on the tool and the machine that you're using. I don't know what's going to be best for you, but for this case, I know it doesn't matter what the depth. If I do multiple steps, it doesn't matter if it's a 4-inch deep hole I'm going. We always divide it by 2. That's just a default thing we do in there to get something. But if I want to take more steps in there, like 3, I'm going to go 0.25 divided by 3 steps, and there's my cut in there. So it's going to take 3 times to go down in there to get to the total depth on there. So from there, we'll go ahead and hit next, and we get into our entry here. So with the entry, you have plunge with single depth, so it's going to plunge down that first amount, cut it out, plunge down to the second amount, and cut it out. Or you can peck or fast peck it and set your peck depth amount in there. And so you'll peck down to that first amount, cut it out, peck down to the second amount, and cut it out, and so on. Up to you. Or you can do a ramp or spiral, whatever you want to do, and set those parameters in there. Again, I'm going to just keep it pretty plain today. So from there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into the sequencing. We're only cutting one, so we'll just do closest, but you also have an option here for no sorting, X or Y direction, custom direction. You can set an angle or optimize in there. We'll do closest on here. You can set a start location, which we got set up right there. Should be fine. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into our linking. How do you want to link the toolpath together here? S-link, full, retract, or direct. Now, let me back up here. If we would have used, we're using advanced pocket. I'm going to click on standard pocket here right now and go back down the link. If you use standard, all you have is an option here for direct, for, from here to here, here to here, or from here to this area right here. It's a direct. So that's another thing here also you might want to watch out for. So if you want more options for linking, always use advanced pocketing here. So we'll do direct, and if I had to, I'll use a retract on there to, stop, move up, over, and back down. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into our advanced feed rates. Again, I'm not going to worry about the corner slowdown. That's more for 33 and moving forward. But here you got your override. This one has directed spline, direct blend spline link feed rate there, and then our adaptive feed rate if we're utilizing the advanced rough. So from there, let's go ahead and hit next, and we get into our final toolpath here. So finishing, it's looking at a 1/2 inch. Let's go ahead and open that up. You'll notice in here, any of our finishing toolpaths, you'll have a lot more tool options in there. So in this case, let's just go ahead and use an ML finish here. just for the heck of it, and let's choose a 1/4 inch flat. Should be fine. There we go. We know it's in royal blue. That's selected. So from there, we'll click OK, and it brings us into this screen. So again, if you need to, you can come in here and set up your spindle speed, whatever that may be. Set up any coolant, and then from there, go ahead and hit next. With the finishing toolpath, you only get an option for patterns here. We'll get into profile here in a bit. And you'll get a couple more options in there. You have an option to either go left, right, or off. Off will run center line of that tool. And you can also use machine comp G41, G42 if you want to utilize that. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into our allowances. So again, you got our side and bottom allowance, single or multiple depths. We'll just do single on this. It's just a final pass all the way through. Lead in and lead out. So we got plunge or ramp. Plunge, you got single depth peck or fast peck. And then you can either use one of these lead-ins also. So if you're using a G41, G42 also, make sure you use something other than vertical for the lead-in and lead-out in order to output your G41, G42 in your code there. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next, so we get into our corner types. So we're going to just leave the corner types at sharp. We'll just let it follow the geometry. There's only a couple of ones that are sharp in there. The only time I really have somebody change this, either doing like a loop radius right here. So what that means is that toolpath is going to come up here, make a loop out here, whatever parameter you say here, and then go in the other direction 90 degrees or whatever the geometry is like laser plasma, guys, so they don't burn around that sharp corner in there. On that, they'll just do like a loop triangle, loop length, or loop radius. I did have one guy use a bisect line because he was making a profile for a staircase there. So he used that bisect line to go in and out of the part without having to, losing because it's running on the same line right here, just in and then back out on that. So it's not moving the tool up or down off that part. So we'll use sharp, and you can do that with internal and external also. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get in our machine sequencing again if you want to utilize that. And our advanced feature, or advanced feed rates there. So from there, you'll notice that we don't have any more next. We got finish and compute. Finish will hold all the parameters, and we can compute it. Take a second there, and there it is right there. All right, next thing we're going to do here, let's go ahead and blank that out, close it up, let's do a mill drill hole. Select geometry, and I'm going to do this, and this is where you can come to the home, pick and match by radius. You can pick that radius, and notice it just picked up all the same radiuses in there. So you got that option if you want to, or you can just left click on each one of them there. So from there, we'll go ahead and we're going to only use standard drilling, and we'll go ahead and click OK. Now you'll notice in here, there's our hole diameter right there. Total depth, again, it's just a nominal number because we're working with 2D geometry in here. So we always just put a 1/2 inch in there. We know the material is 3/4. Let's go all the way down. So I'm going to put in 0.75 right there. It is a through hole. Should be good. So from there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into the group retract. So right now, when we look at this, it's going to go, drill here, move up 0.2, over, back down 0.2. But if we break the groups there, break the whole groups, now they're individual. So what this will do, it'll drill, move up 1 inch or whatever number I put in there, over, and back down. It's looking at this group retract right now. We're going to be just looking at a plane. The height, again, it's just a nominal number. It can be 2 inches, 3 inches, a 1/2 inch, whatever you may be on there. That's what the group retract does on there. And you can also take these and hold your control key down and just select, these three. Oh, you notice that's not right. So let's go here. here. There we go. So we can regroup those together. So you got 1, 2, 3 right there, and then these are all individual right there. Let's just go ahead and leave it at that right now because I want to show off one thing here. So we're going to go ahead and hit next to get into the machine strategy. So let's do a hole here, but you also have an option to do bore and ream. So with the hole, you got center drill and drill. That should be fine for what we're doing. If you want to bring something else over, you can definitely bring it over again and move it around wherever you need it to be. So we'll go ahead and hit next. Sequencing, we're going to go closest or optimize. There's pretty much two ones in there. You can do a pick order. You can come out to the CAD screen and, draw whatever, whichever way you're going on here. And you got to select the circle in there. And you can move it all around and have it going in weird directions. So you can definitely utilize that. We'll just use optimize here. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into our posting. You guys know what that is. And then our center drill. So it's just assuming what center drill we want to use. Again, tool crib, center drill, add from library. Let's choose 1/4-90 spot drill here. Should be fine. We'll hit OK and hit next. There goes our depth, center diameter, and center angle information if you need to utilize that. 33 added in packing operation. We won't get into that one. So from there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into the drill. So you notice that it picked up the 0.4. Even though you may not have a 0.4 drill, you can always go in and say, let's either use a drill or you can use an end mill. And let's see, you can add from library also. So, whatever one is closest to it, maybe if you got it on there, or, let's do the 3/8 here because that's pretty much the closest, or this, 3/8. All right, got a 2764 right there. 3/8 drill should be fine. And we'll okay that. From there, go ahead and set all the parameters set up in here. And when you're done with that, go ahead and hit next. This is kind of what I wanted to show you here. So, use cutting conditions. If I uncheck that box off, this activates for me. So there's my effective depth, and there's my overall depth. If I change one of them here, let's go 0.75, and I hit tab, you'll notice my overall depth changed also on there. This works for groups 1, 2, and 3, all these groups in here. If I want to use single depth, that's fine. I don't need to change anything. If I want to use PEC or fast PEC in here, that looks pretty good. I have to go through and do that for every one of these whole groups that you created in there. I'm not changing any parameters in here. But if you do have to change any parameters and you got a lot of groups in there, you got to go through them individually in there. From there, don't have any more next. We got finish and compute. Let's go ahead and hit compute, and there it is all right there. And you can see that these broken ones are going up 1 inch above the part, and these are staying down low on there. All right, so next thing we got is the outside here. So let's go ahead and blank that out, shrink it up, right click, or you can come up here to the top and let's see, facing 2 axis, brings you into the geometry selection. So if everything's good, I'm going to hold my shift key down and left click on that piece of geometry, and it changed it all around for me. I'm going to go ahead and change that view. So that should be good. I'm going to click on profile chain. So when you click on profile chain, if you got chain 1, you're good. You'll notice that's your start and stop right there. If that's good, you can leave it there, or you can put it somewhere else on here. Let's kind of move it down here, and I'm going to change the direction. I'm just going to left click on that arrow and see it change the direction. So now it's going to go in a clockwise direction for us on there. So I want to make sure I do all that beforehand. So I'm just doing everything all right here off the data entry here. Top of feature, again, 0. Total depth, again, 1/2 inch because we don't know what we're doing in there. I'm going to put in 0.75. And then from there, just click OK. And then just follow the prompts all the way through again. So hit next. Got our feature page. Again, if you didn't set up the top of feature and total depth on the geometry selection page, our window there, our data entry, you got one more chance to do it here. We got our extensions. We'll go ahead and hit next. Machine strategy, we're going to do a rough and finish. And let's see, I'm going to move those around there. And you'll see these two move around. So the rough will be right here and finish will be right here once I hit next. And there we go. Again, we're not going to worry about tabs. We got our posting. That should be good. So the tool setup, again, we'll use the 3/8 to rough it out. That should be fine. Now in the patterns here, so standard, it's going to make one revolution around the part, come up, out, back down to the next level, and so on. Contour ramping, we'll keep tool and totally engaged the whole time and just do a corkscrew all the way down. Side roughing will basically, and I'm not worried about the step over and all the other extras in here that you guys in 32 and below don't have, but basically stock remaining, that is if you're cutting into the part, this would be your geometry selection, but then you got to know your stock remaining and you're going to come in every time. So you'll just start out here, pass, move in, pass, move in, pass, and move in. And then you'll come back out and go down to the next level if you need to on there. So that's the side roughing. Again, here we'll do standard. We got machine comp left or right and off, and machine comp left and right, G41, G42. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We got our allowance right here if you want to utilize the side allowance and bottom allowance. Single or multiple depths. So again, always divided by 2. So if you know your how much you want to take off every time, you can put that in there. So I can do like 0.1, and it's going to do it, what, 8 times there on that, or I can do, 0.15, and it's going to do it in 5 cuts. That should be fine. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into our lead in and lead out just like before. And then our corner types. Again, we'll leave those alone there. And our sequencing, we're only cutting 1, should be fine. And our advanced feed rates. And let's see, let's go here, and you can see it's picking up our 1/4 inch ball. Let's just go in here and change that to something smaller. Let's go 1/8. And then from there, let's see, yeah, that should be fine. Got our patterns page, and you can see how fast you can just start going through all this too. Everything should be fine. And I'll hit compute. And there it is. And I'm going to come up here and hit save. All right, so any questions with any of the toolpath? Kamara's got a question there. Toolpath going inside the geometry, why and how to change that? Oh, you can't change that at all, dude. No, seriously. Let's see. On this one here, the profile one here, so you're talking something like this, right? All right, cool. So in the geometry selection, this is usually where I have you do this at. You have your geometry, which you selected here. Then you come down to this next box right here and click in the profile chain box. This is where you see this arrow at. Now, tap on your right shoulder. Everybody else do it too. That's your cutting edge, okay? Say you want to walk around this. By default, when you open this up, it's going to be here. So this is I'll just left click on that arrow, and it's going to go in the direction I want it to go on there. So I know I want this to go clockwise or conventional cut on there. And I know that it's going to be my right shoulder is the cutting edge on there. So if I were to take a walk around this part, I'm going to walk on, this side of the line here, and it's only going to cut right into this line. Now, if I walked around this direction here, I'm going to be on the inside right there on that. So the main thing is right here when you're in your geometry selection is the profile chain box right there. This is where you can change the direction by just left clicking. And where do you want to start and finish to be on there? I can start it right there on that. Does that kind of make sense for you there, Kamar? And then if you make any changes on there, make sure you go and compute the toolpath on there. So there's my new start and finish. Cool. Also, another, and that's the way I've been teaching people to use that. I don't know what what you've had in the past there, but if you've had, 30 and below, there wasn't a really way to tell the direction on there. So that's where you had this default chain start point. You can either modify or reverse the direction from there. Modify allows you wouldn't see this screen, allows you to change the direction and place this wherever you want on there. So that was kind of the old way of doing that on there. Yeah, any other questions or anything? Good question, by the way. All right, and then make sure you hit save. All right, so we got the toolpath all pretty much done on this and everything. So I'm going to come up here to start simulation, and let's just go ahead and take a look at it. So this is simulation here. We got material removal. This actually shows that blue little part right there. If I do backplot, it gets rid of it on there. Different simulation outputs, either NC mode, time mode, or length mode, depending on what you want to run it at. I usually run it at NC mode. And then we got workpiece, stock, machine, and tool. Now, depending on what you have on your license, if you got Machine Sim Pro like I do, is that not going to show the machine? Huh, I guess not. Oh, because I changed it to a Haas. There's no Haas machine in here. You're not going to see a stock. Machine, workpiece, stock, depending on how you want this to move. Basically, the machine and workpiece stock is the ones I'll kind of use the most because it just moves the tool and keeps the part stationary. Where if you use tool, if the tool focus, the tool will stay stationary and that part's moving around. So that kind of gets a little dizzy after a while. You got your control functions here, run, fast forward. You can step forward or you can move to the next operation. You got your simulation speed. Now the simulation speed does not run your G code on there. It's just, it's a virtual, it's a simulation on there. So you can tell how fast to go or how slow to go. Different views. We're looking at an isometric view and we're in a fit. You can go to a top view, front, right, left, whatever you want it to be. And then you got your visibilities here. So, you can have toolpath on here, or you can turn it off if you want. You can always go over to toolpath rendering and change it to segments so it only shows a little bit of this. If you don't do that, you'll see all the toolpaths showing up. In that case, you'll just hit toolpath right there. I usually keep that on and then turn on segment because it only shows the first part of the toolpath on there. You got different windows in here, like the move list. I can choose, what move list I want to go in here and do. And I can already see, let's see, nope, that's set up right. Except for that right there. Okay. Well, let's see what's going on here. All right, so let's go ahead and just run this. So there goes the facing. There goes our pocketing there. And I already see a mistake in there. All right, so a couple things in there. I don't like how the simulation, how it's set up and everything in here. Also, I'm not worried about the gouging right here. This is at my last tool because my flute length is not as long as my tool. You're going to see that on there. I can go back in and modify that. I'm just going to hit stop simulation, and I'm going to edit this, come down to here, and I'm going to make this 2 inches, my flute length. So that should be good. I'm just going to hit compute to verify that. Hit save. Actually, I probably shouldn't hit save. So I'm going to go to machining order here. So you can see it's doing a phasing, pocket, profile finish, profile rough, center drill, drill, and profile finish. I'm going to go ahead and reset these here because these tools are being used up here. So I'm going to go to individual tool per machine setup. And did it do it? No. Let's do individual feature. That's what I wanted to do. So now it's going in as far as my feature tree right here. So facing, pocket, profile finish, my drilling operations, and then the profile on there. So I'll just click OK. I'll hit save. And we'll run it in simulation one more time just to make sure. And one, there we go. There we go. You can see now that tool, there's our flute length now. So that's why we didn't see any red right there. So there we go. Everything looks good. And let's go ahead and stop simulation on there. And before we post it out, let's go ahead and open up a toolpath statistics here. So we got 3 minutes, 32 seconds. It's going to take the total time to cut this whole thing out. If I go to mill facing here, looks like I got 1:16. The pocketing's 26 seconds on there. The profile finish is 2 seconds long. Now it's not calculating the rapids and tool changes and stuff in there. So yeah. So with the feeds and speeds that we did put in there, yeah, total time on this whole thing is like 3.5 minutes on there, almost 4, we'll say 4 minutes on that. And again, that one you can't change. So we're going to come up here to the generate sheet setup. We're going to do the full sheet setup on here. You know, it's going to take a picture of our CAD screen there. There's all the information right here. The program data. See the time still to get there. The stock information. And then all the tools that we're using. And then all the cycle times. And all the information inside there on that. So with that, you can print that out if you want. You can email it off to somebody if you need to, whatever you need to do with that. And then from there, we'll go ahead and hit the little control box up here, the post our G code, and there it all is. Now I'm going to go ahead and right click. You got a few different options in there. Mach 3 and Predator, you'll see them, but you won't have access to them. Copy, what that is I can take this code and I can window select over the whole thing here. Right click and copy it, and then open up a Notepad, WordPad, or Notepad++ on here. Oop, let me say no, and I can paste the G code right there on that. So I got that. I can bring it into a Notepad if I need to on there. So I've seen some guys, you know, they're like, for whatever reason, they take it in a Notepad on there, and they're, you know, and the problem is they can't save it out as a .nc anymore or whatever. It has to be like a txt on there now. So what I usually tell guys to do is just go into NC Editor. Wait for that to open up here. Just think of an editor as a glorified Notepad with benefits, basically. It's a Notepad with benefits. So we'll only get the pro side of this. So there's all your G code right there. There goes all your raw text right there. There goes that program number we changed, 987. On here, there's all your G codes, all one color. Your X, Y, and Z's are all different colors there on that. So you can see it's all color coordinated here. And again, this is something that you can come in here and go, you can modify the G code if you need to. Hopefully you don't have to, but if there is a reason why you need to, if it's something that we can put into post, let us know. We can get that put in there. Or you can do a save and save as and choose, you know, what kind of file type do you want to use in there on that. Also, if you're running an RS-232, you come up here to Tools. You can hit Start DNC. You can set up all your serial connection or your communication protocols in there. You can also send and receive from your machine also if you're running into RS-232 cabling on there. Any questions or anything with that? And also, when you save this out on here, do a save as your G code, save it to your flash drive, network drive, whatever you're sending it to, save it out there. If for whatever reason you need to, oh, you're welcome, Kamar, on that. If you need to save that G code out on your computer for whatever reason, make a folder on your desktop called G code so you can put it inside there. Don't save this G code, all this G code right here, onto your desktop. Put it in you can save it in a folder that's on your desktop. That's fine. There's read-write issues on there. If you save it directly to your desktop, it will corrupt that G code file on there. So it will just error out on your machine or won't open up at all on there, won't recognize it. So save it to a flash drive, network drive, or a folder on your desktop or wherever you got it located at on there if you need to. And don't forget to hit save every once in a while. Let's see. Does the software does the nesting for more? That's a question I don't like to answer there, Kamar, but I'm going to answer this very diplomatically. We don't have nesting anymore where you can switch to parts and move the parts around. We don't have that option anymore. But if you do need to, quote unquote, nest it, we have the toolpath patterns here where basically I can move this whole part over, you know, distance in X or Y on there. We can't actually nest it like other nesting programs we used to. We just don't have it anymore. Where you can move the parts around, nest them up real close, turn them, you know, 180 degrees on there. But if you, unfortunately, we don't have that. But what we do have is our toolpath pattern, which I'll show you here. So basically what the toolpath pattern is draw the part one time, toolpath it one time. I'm going to reset the stock here from this. I'm going to make a 24 by 24 by sheet here. So I'm going to right click on stock and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say 24 by 24. And then I'm going to come down here to my stock orientation. I'm going to go 12 by 12. So we'll just nest it here and here, or toolpath pattern. I don't ever want to call it nesting because it's not true nesting. Anyways, so I'm going to right click on machine setup 1. I'm going to go down to additional function here, and I'm going to go to add toolpath pattern. So you got different options in here, translate, rotate, points. We're going to only worry about the array. I don't even know how, I forgot how far this part is. Hold on. So I'm going to come up here to evaluate. Let's see, let's do a horizontal here. I'm going to measure from point here to here, and that's 8 inches. Okay, 8 inches and horizontal. And notice I'm not keeping it here at all either. So I'll go here. This is like 5.917. Yeah. All right. So let's go back over here. Right click, additional function, add toolpath pattern. array, next. So our distance is 8 plus your tool path on there. So we know the biggest tool we got in there is a 3/8. So whatever that diameter is, you might want to move it over that diameter. So 8.375 in X. Let's do 2 copies. And we'll click OK. And I'm going to unblank all the toolpath here. And why did that not work? Hold on. Let's do this again. Add toolpath pattern. 8.375. And we want 2 copies. Click OK. There we go. So you can see here how it's going. So if I wanted to add some extra space to it, let's go 9 inches, just kind of give it some space. You can see there's more definition on there. I'm going to turn the stock back on here. And we can actually see we can only get 1 on there with that 24 by 24 piece I got in there. So I'll do edit. We'll go 10 and 1. Just give it some extra room in there. And then the Y direction, that was 5. Let's go 7 with a copy of 2. Oh, that's not bad there. But you can see there, basically drew it once, toolpath it one time, and then added a toolpath pattern. That's pretty much all we got into the software right now. Like I said, we got rid of, a few years ago, we discontinued using the, what do you call it, the nesting software. Yeah, if it works for you. I'll just go with that one on there. So I like nesting personally from a router background. So I'm kind of disappointed about that on there, but we do have this on there. Yeah, any other questions or anything? All right, so yeah, moving on here, we got this part here. So again, pretty much the same thing here. You know, as far as cutting it out, you got pocketing, profiles. We can actually profile these out. How big are these holes? I don't remember. I know what the size are in millimeters, but in inches, I'm not sure. So I'm just going to left click on there. And the total diameter is 4 point, yeah, okay. So we can use like a 1/4 inch tool maybe, yeah. In there. Okay, cool. All right, so on this one here, let's go ahead and go to the CAM up here. We'll go to new job. We're going to do milling. We'll do the BC3X mill this time, and we'll hit stock wizard. Again, not worried about the work piece. We'll hit the next button. And then here we got here, let's go ahead and use cylinder, and let's do that, and actually let's do bounding cylinder. Look at our overall our size here, and then on this one let's go 7 as a diameter, and total depth let's go 0.55. Just kind of throw you guys off there. All right, so we'll go ahead and hit next. We'll keep it in the center there. It should be fine, and we'll okay that. All right, so from here, let's go ahead and right click, and we're not going to worry about a facing on this one. We'll go mill 2 axis, select geometry, and I'm going to hold my shift key down and left click on that geometry, and let's get that all the way down. So we'll go 0.55. Click in the profile chain box. Let's go ahead and switch you to here. So our start and finish is right on the bigger area. So from there, we'll go ahead and hit next. Everything should be good there. Let's see. Let's go Yeah, let's just do a pocket with a profile finish. It should be fine. And you know what? Let's add in chamfer mill. There we go. Pocketing or tabs, not going to worry about that. Posting should be good. So our pocketing, let's see, let's go with a quarter standard here. Not worried about feeds or speeds. Yeah, let's do pocket out. We'll start in the center, work our way out. We'll go 40%. And let's leave just a little bit on there. And let's do this in just 2 steps on this one. Actually, let's do, 2's fine. Yeah, I'd rather break your computer than your machine. All right, so from there, we'll go ahead and we got all the other information. We should be good. I'm just going to keep it as basic as possible here. Finishing, let's go and utilize like an 1/8 inch standard. That should be fine for what we're trying to do. Let's change that flute length to 2. And pretty much just walk this all the way through. You know what, just for the fun of it, I'm going to throw in a blend. And the length, yeah, that should be fine. 0.125. And you'll notice when I hit tab, you should, oh, I guess not. That should have changed already. All right, so from there, that should be good. Let's go ahead and hit next. Corner types, so I'm going to leave those all alone. Machine sequence, that should be good. Chamfer mill. So in here, let's go ahead and choose whatever one we want. Let's just go with the small one here. 1/8 inch should be good. Now, whatever the parameters are on this one, they're going to show up. That should be good. Just like setting up our profile right here. So we got our small diameter. We know this tool, this chamfer, has a small diameter of 0.625. That's right there. Chamfer angle is 45. Right there. 45, 45, 90, right there. If you had a sharp bottom or a sharp tool, you know, you'd have 0 here for the small diameter. We know we got a flat bottom tool. It's an 1/8 inch. Cutter position, that should be good. Now, total depth. Again, you can use this for like deburring or something on there. You know, whatever you want to use for. So you can choose the bottom right here. It's not going to follow whatever you got up here in your geometry selection or your total depth right there. Your geometry, your depth for the chamfer and corner rounding are right here in the parameters page. So, you know, 0.1 should be good. We can look at chamfer depth. If you know the chamfer length, you can utilize that. And of course, that number is going to change right there. Or chamfer width, you know, from the top over, you know, how wide do you want this to be? And again, that number right there. We're going to do chamfer depth. That's pretty much everybody uses on that. And you can use this with single depth or multiple depths in there. You can minimize retracts pretty much in there if you need to. We'll just keep it simple as possible. We'll do single. We'll go ahead and hit next. Again, you can set up, you know, it's a profile toolpath. Remember that. We'll leave that alone. Cornering should be fine. Sequencing, fine. And that should be good too. So we'll go ahead and hit compute. And there it is, all right there. All right, so let's go ahead and blank that out. And let's do a mill 2-axis again. Select geometry. And just select all our circles here. There we go. I can go through each one of those chains and, you know, if I look at them in a top view, you can see they're all kind of, starting in different positions here. So I could just go and change them all to start in the same area, basically, going in the same direction, or I can change directions on different ones there. You know, whatever you want to do, you got that option in there. Total depth on this one, yeah, let's keep it at 5. Let's go 0.25. And then we'll okay that. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. There's our geometry. Let's see, let's use, I'm going to get rid of the finish on this one. We're just going to use a rough. And we're going to go ahead and hit next. Again, not worried about the tabs. Posting should be good. 1/4 inch, yeah, let's use a 1/4 inch tool here. And this time, let's use contour ramping. Everything else is good. Not worried about G41, G42. I'm going to make that 0 because we're going to go right to finish on there. Now, depth per pass. Again, it's going to take it in 2 cuts unless I go something different. So we're going to go 0.25 divided by 5. 50 thousandths each time. Or if you know the angle that you want to use, you can utilize that. 9 times out of 10, I see guys using depth per pass on there. So it's just going to do depth, constant 50 thousandths all the way down, keeping the tool engaged the whole time. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into our leads. So I'm just going to leave those alone. Corner type, again, leave that alone. Sequencing, and there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and hit compute, and there we go. There it is right there. All right, so we need to do the outside here. I'm just going to use the same toolpath here. So I'm going to go ahead and blank that out. And I'm going to come up here. Actually, I'm going to right click because that's what I'm kind of used to. I'm going to say copy. I'm going to right click on machine setup 1. And I'm going to go to paste feature. Left click on that. You'll get this little dialog box every time. Do you wish to load the top of feature and total depth? In the old ways, yes, you would have to answer that question. Doesn't matter anymore because it's all in one page now. It used to be in separate pages on there because we didn't have that data entry where you had the total depth and top of feature with the profile chain and geometry selection. So I'm going to hit no on here. I'm going to left click or right click on geometry here. Again, all my parameters are set up. And we'll just okay that. And let's see, we're going to go 0.55 down. And let's see, profile chain. There's our start and finish. Let's start right in the middle here. Change direction. And we'll okay that. And if everything works out right, I may have to go in there and change it here. There's our toolpath. Actually, that's not too bad. Let's save this before we lose it. There we go. So kind of cheated away too on there. So let's go ahead and hit start simulation. Now I didn't change any feeds or speeds on this one, so when we look at the time on here, it's going to look a little different on here. Okay, I can deal with that. There goes our profile. And the final pass on that one. And it's coming back in and doing, then there's our little chamfer. And there it is right there. So again, we can exit out of simulation there. If everything looks good, you like what you see, we got our posting right here. There's all our G code for that. I'll bring that into simulator into the NC editor here. And there's all the G code. Now I'm using the BC3X mill this time, so the code's going to look a lot different on there. So you can see all your Geo1, Geo2 moves there. You got a couple of Geo3s going on in there, XY positions and Z's on all that. And then let's see, let's do a generate sheet setup here. See what we get. Yeah, it's going to take a snapshot. Look familiar. And because of the feeds and speeds that we got set up in there, we're looking at about 50 minutes, almost an hour to cut this part out. Again, I didn't change any feeds or speeds on the tool page. I just left them as is on here. But again, I can come back into my machine order here, and you can see I got a pocket with a profile rough on there. I may end up changing around. Now, this can kind of get confusing because you got pocket with profile rough, profile finish, chamfer mill. If something happens like that, you can right click on like profile rough here and you can rename it. Call it, you know, whatever you want so you can identify it. Outside cut on there. So that one's saved, or let's see, those are okay. That's a spiral cut. I'm just kind of naming these things on here. And let's see, we got a pocket. We know what that is. And we can keep actually this all the same because we know what those are. So if we go back into the machining order, you can see you got pocket on there. So if we wanted to, we can go profile finish and move that up. And then chamfer mill, move that up. And then we got the spiral and outside cut. So now if I click OK on here, go back into simulation. Don't forget to save out the BobCAD file where it's at in case something happens. Now this should be all be going right in order from inside to out. So it should do a profile finish after this. There it goes. And then the chamfer. And then the spiral cutting. Yeah, let's kind of speed that up there. And again, that's why I don't do the post and save as. That's why I don't do generate sheet, setup and save on there. Want to make sure everything's coming out right. So I can hit stop simulation up here. Wait for that to come out. Repost my G code now. There it all is. Should be all correct now in there. If I hit generate sheet setup, go into full sheet setup again. Just to make sure everything's good. You know, if I need to change my feeds and speeds. You can see here, you know, you got a profile finish at, you know, this one pocketing 3 minutes. Minute, 4 minutes, 39 minutes for the outside cut. That's where I'm losing it. So I may do something different in there. I may have to come in here and edit that feature, come down here to parameters. All right, so it's going all the way down. Let's do 0.1 and just compute. So now we got a different toolpath. Actually, I should do this. you know, 10,000, 150, and 30. Compute. Let's hit toolpath statistics. We know it's the outside cut. We're down to 4.5 minutes now almost on there. So you can see how you can adjust that stuff right there. Or if you got the flyouts right there. Whoops. Come on. You can change all your stuff right here. You can see I can go to 18,000 if I wanted to and go 200 and plunge at 30. Hit apply. So I didn't have to go back into the feature. I can just do it right there, repost it out. And I should be able to come down to my last toolpath, which is right here. And because I don't have my current settings set up properly, right there. There it is right there. Now that should be reading what I got, because I think I put 18,000 in there. Or maybe I didn't. Huh. Just lost it. I did something wrong on there and I lost it, and I did not save any of that toolpath out. Or the changes I was starting to make. So you guys can see here that we at BobCAD are normal, just like you all. We do have issues. Every once in a while I was probably clicking on something I wasn't supposed to at that time. Oh, come on, you're not going to open back up here? Well, let me go to Task Manager, and I don't see anything running at all. Performance good. Suspended. And test, that should be good. All right, so let's try this again here. Yeah, if it's Mauricio, if it's happening quite a bit, get a hold of our tech support and have them log into your computer and take a look, make sure, Windows are all up to date. If you're running a graphics card, if you're not running a graphics card, that could be a good possibility if you're running like solids and stuff. Because you got to remember, this software is a gaming software now. So if you don't have like a gaming computer, you might need to, look into possibly getting one. Unfortunately, also, with that said, I might have been clicking on something I wasn't supposed to or doing something really quick, and that happened on there. Normally mine doesn't, it will crash every once in a while, not, unlike you guys out there in the real world are having crashing issues. Usually, like I said, I do a lot of the seminars, and thank God this week I did not have anybody crash, except for me. I crashed more than anybody in this seminar that we had. So anyways, get a hold of our tech guys, have them log into your computer, and have them like same with you, Kamar, too. Just to make sure, Windows are up to date. If you guys are running a graphics card, is BobCAD running through that graphics card? A lot of times it's not running through the graphics card, it's running through the processor on there. So, make sure those are all up to date and everything's running properly. So, yeah, for both of you, definitely, get a hold of our tech support. They'll be glad to, like I said, log in and take a look at that if they make sure everything's running good on there. But yeah, any other questions with anything here? I guess I'm pretty much done with that. I just happen to be messing around with something on there. Yeah, I'm going to take a look at that, see what's going on with there. All right, so let's look at the other one we have here. So I'm going to go open here, or actually I can come right up here to File, Recent Files. There we go. Because I didn't save it out at the end, which I probably should have. So we got this part here. Again, if you want to translate it over because you don't want to move the X and Y, you can definitely do that. So what you can do, if you know how much you need to move over, this one shouldn't be too bad. We can find out real quick. Just go measure 2. And I'm going to choose there and the center of this. So that is 3.8583. Now, the good thing is I'm going to hit cancel on there, and pretty much this all stays right there. So I'm going to go to utilities and translate. In my X direction, I'm going to make sure it's a negative or a positive, and that's going to be 3.8583. And select my geometry. There's a preview right there. Now again, if I want to, I can go, let's say 4, and let's go 0.1 in Y. Just add a little bit of stock. We'll say okay and cancel. Now just for fun of it, also I want to check out in here is, I'm going to go measure 1. Because again, I made this in millimeters, so I don't remember what the inches are. So the total length is a ½ inch on that. That's not bad. And that's over an inch. Okay, so if I use a 1/4 inch, I should be pretty good on there. All right, that works out for me. All right, so let's go ahead and CAM. New job. And let's see, BC3X Mill, Stock Wizard. Not worried about the workpiece. And you'll notice right here, it is picking up the overall X and Y of our part. The problem is, it's not going to the full size here. So this is where you can go, you know, let's say we got an 8x8 sheet, 8x5, we'll say. Or let's go 6. And then I'll just come down here and say 4 in X and 3 in Y, and just kind of center it up right there. So now I know we got this all set up pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Now we're going to keep the XYZ 0 here because I'm not going to, you know, rotate it around. Let me back up 1. We're going to leave that at 1 inch. And then we'll just say okay. Now from here, it's just pretty much right click, mill 2 axis, select geometry. I can window select over this whole thing because there's no other geometry that we're cutting, just the outside over this. We're going to say 1 inch. And for some reason, I got 2 chains in there. So if you know this is supposed to be 1 chain, you may want to double check something in there. Looks like, yeah, something going on in here. All right, not a problem. So this is this. Oh, there it is. I can see it right there. That did not join together, and probably that side too. So utilities, trim 2 entities. Let's pick that and that. And that was definitely my fault. So select this line. We're going to trim it to that. There we go. Now, I'm going to check this out just to make sure. So I'm going to go into select mode. I'm going to hold my shift key down and left click. And that all showed up. And then I'll just choose something different and it all deselected. All right, cool. So let's go back to milling. 2 axis, select geometry, window select. 1 profile chain now, that's good. We're going to go down 1 inch. And we'll say okay. Now from here, we'll go ahead and hit next. We got all our information. That should be good. And let's see, we'll do a profile rough and finish. I should change those around. So let's go rough and finish. We'll do that. We'll add that, and everything should be good. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch, so I'm just going to type it in here now. And let's see, 125. Yeah, that should be fine. We'll hit next. Again, not worried about the feeds and speeds. Again, we'll do standard on here. And I did not change my direction, so that's good. So let's go down 0.2. Make 5 passes. That should be fine. Let's see. Let's do a blend lead in and lead out. That should be good. And parameters. Let's see. Let's leave that, and let's leave a bottom allowance of 0.25. And you'll notice all my numbers changed here. So everything should be good. Because I'm going to leave some stock in there in case you got it like in a vise or something and you're only cutting down a certain amount. You know, that's what that bottom allowance is going to allow you to do in there. So finishing pass, let's go ahead and use the same tool. 1/4 inch. Say okay. Again, not worried about feeds or speeds. And everything else should be pretty good. And we're going to say 0.25. I think that's what it was. Yeah. 1 step. Should be good. And yeah, I'm not worried about all that. We'll just compute it. Now, you'll notice it's all wrong there. So I could right click, reselect, go here to the profile chain, but I'm going to do it this way, which is going to take me into the same spot, but I'm going to, I'm going to just hit reverse direction, and then I can right click and compute toolpath, and right click and compute toolpath. Now, if you don't want it to start and stop there, modify, change it to wherever you want it to, say okay. In this case, let's go up here, and there it is. On that. So what I did on this right here, I forgot to hit profile chain. Of course, I talked about it, but didn't do anything about it. I just went down here and changed that. So in this case, I just went here and I did reverse direction, which reversed it. And once it did, it ended up starting and stopping here, which I saw it did. Then I just went and modified it, which brought me back into it, but it put me right back in profile chain. And that way I can move it around, switch directions, whatever I want to do with that on that. So everything should be good. And you can see there's our total depth, but because we got a bottom of job in there, it's only going down this far. So come up here, hit save before you hit simulation in case something happens or you click on something or it drops out on you for whatever reason. There we go. Taking a second there. And you know, even though I had sharp in here, it's just because of the radius of that tool on there. And there we are, and you can see and trying to be gentle on this because I know sometimes during the go-to meetings here too, it'll crash out a lot. There we go. Finally caught up. So yeah, you can see I'm left a 1/4 inch material in there. It should be fine on that. And then from there, once you're happy with what you see, you can go ahead and stop simulation. And move over to the right, hit the posting as soon as it comes out, and hopefully I don't get another crash here. There we go. Ooh, everything just caught up real slow there. All right, so there goes our G code. And you can see it's not long at all. I'll go ahead and bring this into NC Editor here. And there's all the G code and stuff. Any questions with that or anything? So just for the fun of it, you want to, so you got this part already cut out, or you want to cut it out. Say we want to add some text in there, like a part marking or some sort. So with what we got here, we can go to Create 2D. Let's go to Text here. And again, Windows fonts, we're going to pick up whatever you have on your computer. So you should have all the different window fonts. If you downloaded any of them, we'll pick them up here. This one, I'm going to go ahead and use BobCAD, and I'm going to use Helva here. Now I'm just going to type in, let's see, BobCAD-CAM. And I'm going to keep it at bottom center here. And my text height, I'm going to go 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to come out to the CAD screen here. I'm going to left click on that ball right there. And I'm actually going to come right to here. Now I'm not going to vectorize it or anything. I'm just going to keep it right there. And I'm going to say OK and cancel. Now I got this part right here. So now, two ways I can actually do this on here. So let's go ahead and blank this out. And blank out the stock here temporarily. So, mill to axis. Select geometry. We'll select our geometry right there. And we'll have it go down, let's say 0.05, 50 thousandths. And we'll say OK. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. Everything's good there. This is all going to look familiar. We're going to hit 2D engrave this time. And we'll hit next. Not worried about tabs, even though it shows it. We don't need them. We'll hit next, and we'll go in here, and let's see. Let's go to Tool Crib. So let's use a V tool, just for the fun of it. And I'm going to choose, let's see, 1/8 inch, 45 degrees. Let's do that one. That is tool number 2. Okay. From there, we just hit next. There's our total depth. It's going to take it in one step. Sequencing, do optimize, that should be fine. Advanced feed rates, again, if you need to utilize that. And from there, we'll go ahead and hit compute. And you can see right there. There's all the toolpath. But, for example, if you want to do multiple step downs on there, the other thing you could use, I'm going to blank that out, is 3-axis wireframe. Don't let that fool you. So we'll go ahead and select our geometry. Top of feature should be fine, and we're going to say OK. We're going to set this up the same way here. There's no feature yet. Let's see. Yeah, let's do a finish here. Oh no, we want to do the rough. That's right. Finish is just one finish pass. So what I'm looking for is that parameter. So let's go down to the tool crib, V tool. We'll use the same tool. We'll hit next. Now we're going to cut from geometry, and we're going to go down, 50 thousandths. Let's see, that 50,000 step distance, let's go 0.05 divided by 2. Oops, 25. And number of cuts, we're going to say 2 in there. So we're going to cut it from the geometry. We're going to start from the geometry and cut down 2 spots. So I'm going to say OK. And there it is. So if I look at it here, so we got 25 thousandths and another 25 thousandths. So let's go ahead and right click on here, and I'm going to blank out and post out. Oops. Let's do a post yes, no, and let's blank it out. So the only thing we're going to run here is these 2. So I'm going to come over here and start simulation. Probably I should have hit save. I got to remember to do that. Now, instead of going through that whole operation here, the first one, once this comes into simulation here, I'm going to there we go. So what I'm going to do here is, there goes my profile rough and finish. I'm just going to come over here to my move list, and I'm going to click on engrave here. And you'll see that dialog box show up. There it is right there. And I'm going to go ahead and slow that down a little bit. And we'll hit run, wait for it. Now this is just with the 2D engrave here. And there we go. We got an engrave on there. Now that was done in one set right there. Now, if I want to do this into multiple steps, let's go ahead and exit out of the simulation here. And before I forget anything else, let me get out of simulation. Wait for it. I'm going to hit save. Let's do a post yes, no on here and do a post yes, no. So it'll show in simulation or it won't show, and it won't, it'll either post out or not post out in G-code. And we'll wait for that to come up there. And then we'll come over here to our move list, and I'm going to click on 3D engrave. Wait for that little dialog box to show up. And we'll hit run. And you can see there's our 3D engrave all right there. You see that's just going down. 1, 2. So if you need to make multiple passes because of the tool, maybe, you know, really small or whatever, that 3D feature 3-axis wireframe works really well for that on there. And it is the center line cutting tool. Both those tools, tool paths are, just one does it in a single depth and the other one can do it in a single depth, or you can do multiple depths on there if you need to. And there it is. Any questions or anything? All right, guys. Well, I'm pretty much done with everything. Yeah, I'm glad you guys came, watched the class here today. You had some good questions there. But yeah, if you guys want, go to our website, check out the training options we do have, seminars that we do have coming up here. They should be having the ones after September up here pretty soon on there. So we're going to be in Minneapolis in October. November will be Louisville, and December will be Charlotte on there, and then we'll get all the hotel information up on that. Also, if you guys got any OLT on your account, feel free to give us a call, and we'll get you signed up for some online training on there. And Kamar's got a question: will there be a video available? Absolutely, yeah, on our website on here. So let's go to bring this over here again. If you go to our website, BobCAD.com, log into the support site here. Once you're logged in, on the contents off to the left here, you're going to choose training, virtual training videos. And then they're all going to be actually in the T1 under here. Today's will possibly be up early next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday of next week on there. But yeah, these are, and we got ones that we've done in the past all up here right now on here. So yeah, the top one is actually going to be the most recent on there, which was 810 laser plasma water jet on there. But yeah, you come at, yeah, you go into our support site there. We'll have all the videos shown up there. Like I said, this one will be up early next week on there. But yeah, any other questions or anything? And if you guys do have any technical questions you need to get over our tech support, you know, feel free to give them a call. They'll be glad to help you out also on that. All right, guys, with that, you're welcome. Have a great day. Have a great Labor Day weekend also if you guys aren't working. And be safe out there. Talk to y'all later.